Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are back at home here in Tennessee. I'm really excited to be back home with my family. We got back from Alaska 2 days ago, so Monday. It was a real long trip, man. It was like 22 hours. It was not the best, a trip on the back end that I've ever had. It was pretty drawn out, but we are back home and we had a great time. Working as a fishing guide for halibut, salmon, rockfish, lingcod, all that stuff up at the Burghoff Wilderness Lodge for my 18th year. It was a lot of fun, and it felt really good. It was a really good reset button push that I haven't felt in a while. So really great experience. I wish that I got more content for you guys. I know that I did 2 videos when I was on the boat heading to the lodge, and then kind of went dark after that. It's always my intention to really do a bunch of content up there and share my experiences and do all that stuff. But once I get up there, it just, I quickly just get into, guide mode. We're working hard, long hours, and also, it kind of factors into it that, I'm guiding. I'm guiding people that don't sometimes may not necessarily want to be in a video. They're on vacation, and also they're not my clientele. So I don't generally feel like it's my place to get a bunch of footage while I'm up there. So that's kind of some of the reasons why I don't really do too many videos. But I did get a bunch of great little B-roll clips, if you will, throughout my trip, and so I'll try to weave in some of those into this video, just kind of so you can kind of see what I experienced up there, because it is super special. Like I said, I've been working up there for 18 years. This isn't a job for me. When I go up there, yeah, I do make money. I make a good chunk of change while I'm working up there. But this is like a second home to me. I've been doing it since I graduated high school. In fact, the night I graduated high school, which was, we just had like the 20-year anniversary like 3 days ago. The night I graduated high school, I flew up there for my first season to work there, and it's changed my life. The people up there have changed my life. The place itself, that little part of of Southeast Alaska and the Inside Passage has really just been very formative for me over my lifetime, and so I just make it a point to get up there, even if it's for a couple weeks. If my boss, can use me for those couple weeks, 100%, I'm going to come up and do that. So it's just a special place. But this year was pretty special in its own right, because I've been doing it for so long. Like I said, it's been 20 years since I started. I've been up there 18 years. I've missed 2 years, 2014, and of course last year when we were at St. Jude, missed last year too. And I've experienced pretty much the majority of the things that you have to experience. I mean, that's kind of overstating things a little bit, because there's always stuff that comes up that is different, whether it is a really intense whale show or you catch a extraordinarily large fish or a new fish, or see like a salmon shark. A couple of years ago I saw a salmon shark. It swiped at the back of my boat while we were reeling in a coho salmon. That was pretty cool. So you always have like little new things, but rarely do I see new areas. And on this trip, one of the highlights of it for me was getting to get outside of our normal range of fishing, and I got to experience some places further south than I've ever been on Chatham Strait. In fact, we went almost all the way down to the very tip of Burghoff Island one day. And then I also spent some time in a bay called Tebenkoff Bay off of Kuyu. And that was a lot of fun, getting to experience that location too. And I even really got to know some of our friends that we've made over the years up there, but I just kind of knew them in passing a little bit. We have Hans and Natalia. They were fantastic. I got to meet them, and these are two people that have really carved out a special life in Alaska. These are authentic Alaskans that come up, and they just, like I said, carved out their livelihood, their life that they wanted in the last frontier, if you want to call it that. Which I think is a good term for Alaska. They were Hans has been and Natalia been commercial fishing since the 70s. I got to experience some of their stories and some of that stuff. Got to ask a bunch of questions about commercial salmon trolling, which I've always wondered, because I always fish around a lot of salmon trollers, but I never really get to understand what's going on there. So got to spend some time with some special people that can kind of gave me more insight into that commercial fishing experience and just fishing in general. Beyond that, also had an experience where I got to see a new waterfall that I hadn't experienced before on one of the most magical spots on the planet. It's this place that we go beachcombing, and it has a little waterfall on the back of this little creek that's kind of spills out of it, and it was just, that was so cool. I mean, it was just really cool to see this waterfall for the first time. I thought I had seen it before, but I guess I'd just been told about it and just kind of made in my memories out of just my imagination. I always thought I had seen it, but in last week I got to see it actually for the first time, and it was pretty spectacular. So anyways, a few other things that really stood out on this trip: whale shows. I mean, it was pretty quiet for the first week, and then halfway through the second week, we finally started getting some big humpback whale populations coming up. Lots of bubble netting. I didn't get any good footage of bubble netting this time, but essentially bubble netting, I'll try to weave maybe some footage from the past in here. But bubble netting is essentially a coordinated feeding strategy that humpbacks utilize to catch herring and other types of fish. I don't think they usually use it for krill, because the krill don't generally get away from them. I think they use more lunge feeding techniques for that, but I'm not a whale expert, but that's just my observation. But essentially, bubble netting is where one whale they'll dive real deep, a whole group of them, and one whale will spin while blowing bubbles in a circular pattern, and it'll get tighter and tighter and tighter as it gets to the surface. So it condenses all of those herring into one little spot, and also salmon smolt too. Then all of the whales will come up and feed. And there was at one point on one day, we had probably 3 different pods of these whales, and each pod had about a dozen humpbacks feeding in this manner. So that was really cool. Also had a lot of great Dall's porpoise show around the same day that we saw all those whales. I mean, when you have a lot of bait, you have a lot of whales, you have a lot of Dall's porpoise, and Dall's porpoise are they look like tiny orca whales, and so they're very they're very fast. They're really cool to watch, eat or feed because of how quick they are, and they just break the surface like a bass eating a topwater bait. It's really cool. So saw a bunch of those. Also had a lot of deer experiences. We've got Sitka black-tailed deer that I am chomping at the bit to go hunt one day, and saw a bunch this year. Early June, those deer are down in the tide zone, and every time I sat foot on a beach or shoreline, there was deer tracks everywhere. So really, really cool to see, see that, because usually when I get there later in the season, those deer are usually in the alpine zone, and so I don't see them as much in the tide zone as I did this time. I even had one interaction with a doe that was watching me and two guests that I had on the river from this cut bank. I just look up and all of a sudden, we got the guests right here, and then just on the cut bank, there's just this deer just sitting there looking at us, and so that was really cool and got pretty close. That was probably the closest I've ever been to a living Sitka black-tailed deer. Yeah, that was really cool. Other than that, fishing, let's talk about fishing, because that's what we're up there for, is guiding for halibut and rockfish primarily on this trip, because we had a closure for king salmon in our zone. So our zone of Chatham Strait, or the inside passage there, had a closure until Monday. So I just barely missed the king salmon fishing. So we didn't really do a whole lot of king salmon fishing at all. And so that was kind of a bust, which was a bummer when I got up there, because I was really looking forward to trolling for some kings. That's like one of the beautiful things about early season. Halibut fishing was good. Rockfish was good. We actually ended up taking a bunch of halibut home, because I got to go out, also with some of the crew on one of the days off, and I took them out. We caught a bunch of halibut. And so, yeah, fishing was overall very good. Rockfish is very good. Catching some black cod. Black cod is really cool. So, most of the other fish, the maximum depth that we fish is like 300 feet. We used to fish deeper for halibut, for like the really big ones. But nowadays, like 300 feet is a pretty deep spot, right? Well, for black cod, we fish up to 21 or 2,200 feet deep, which is nuts, because all those big mountains that we're fishing around on the shoreline, especially on Burghoff Island, those in most cases are shorter than the distance that we're dropping our baits to get down to the fish. So black cod is a lot of fun to catch. It's a fun process, because it takes about 11 minutes for your bait to get down on a pretty heavy ball weight. And then we have electric reels that, bring them up, and it takes, it's like a 45-minute process altogether between dropping and reeling them up. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, so fishing was good, but most importantly, it was a healing experience for me going up there this year, because everything that happened last year, we missed going up to Alaska. And I miss these people. I miss that place. These are like the folks up there, my coworkers, my friends. They're like a second family to me. And so it was really good to just disconnect from all the stress and anxiety going on at home. That I didn't feel like we could necessarily escape. But going up there, working hard and just being around my friends up there, really just kind of melted away, and I came home feeling really, really good. So that's very positive. So I was really happy about that. But yeah, that was my trip, man. I wish that I could do more content up there for you guys, but you're just gonna have to enjoy the footage that I have. And another thing that as I get older and I go up there every single year, I'm just like blown away. I'm like, one of my favorite things to do is just to walk around the forest, because we got the Tongass National Forest. This is a temperate rainforest that is just so lush. Everything from the low-lying plants and mosses on the ground to the top of the canopy with all those Sitka spruce, western hemlock, yellow cedar, just huge, massive trees. I mean, some of the oldest growth forest that there is remaining on the planet is in that area. And as I get older, I just appreciate the plant and tree life more and more every single year. It's just really, really cool to look up at the trees and look down at at you know, what's growing on the floor as well. Anyways, yeah, great experience. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the footage that I added onto this video, but it is time to get back to work. I've been missing out on a lot of videos recently, and so I want to get back to daily videos. I've generally kept it 6 days a week, so Sunday's the only day that I don't upload a video. So let's get back to bass fishing videos, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So super thankful I got to go up. Great experience, but I'm so glad to be back with Riley and Katie here on the property. And also bass fishing too, because we got some really good June bass fishing happening on the Tennessee River. So look out for content, you know, current content that I'm going to be putting out this week. So thank you guys so much. It's good to be home. I'm going to see you guys out on the water and here on the channel. And always make sure that you trust the process.